We finally made it to the midway point of season 31 of The Ultimate Fighter, and things are really starting to heat up. I'm serious, we're reaching day-old bread levels of heat here, people. The results of this episode were leaked online last week, but in a roundabout way, it actually made the viewing experience more interesting. So thank you, MMA Twitter. For once in your miserable, roach-infested existence, you've actually provided some value to my MMA fandom. Regardless, this episode has it all. We've got horses, we've got twist endings, and finally, after weeks of waiting, we've got Conor reaching his boiling point and putting hands on Michael Chandler. Will this much publicized moment live up to all of the hype? Of course not! Nevertheless, we've got a lot to unpack in this one, so let's take a bite right out of the nothing burger. It's episode 6 of The Ultimate Fighter, Team McGregor versus Team Chandler. This episode says fuck the fluffy shit and jumps right into the backstory of Kurt Hollabaugh, a veteran who's been around since the very last card of Strikeforce. The days when the sport was just gaining momentum, the fights were wild and brutal, and you could somehow still get signed to the UFC even after coming off the tail end of a decision loss.
And they called me and they said, we have a offer for you to fight on the final Strikeforce. End up losing a decision. Sean Shelby came to the back after that, asked me how would I like to come fight in the UFC. So I'm like, I would love that.
Kurt has had a long time on-again, off-again relationship with the UFC, as this will be his third stint with the promotion if he can secure a new contract. To put it into perspective, if this man is successful, his UFC career will have spanned 10 years, 3 contracts, and 2 noses.
Conor has shown me so much. He's shown me that it's possible to do what you put your mind to, you know? When you really believe in yourself that anything is possible.
Kurt's opponent in this episode is Lee Hammond, a kid who looks to be about 14 years old and has been training at SPG Ireland with Conor McGregor for 5 years. There's a Rose Namajunas Pat Barry joke in there somewhere, but I ain't touching it. Unlike Pat Barry. In my episode 1 review, I touched on how Conor may have forced a few of his teammates onto the show. At the time, I thought that was bullshit. However, after how things have been going for Team McGregor this season, it's actually somewhat welcomed. There's only so much that a person can be trained in the time span of this television show, but Lee has been training with Conor and John Kavanagh since he started MMA. Let's see how much a person with that much McGregor fast in his system can bring to the octagon. Switching gears back to Kurt Hollabaugh, we learn that Kurt is a family man. Which is good, because he has 5 fucking kids! Along with donkeys, chickens, and other assorted livestock that he keeps on his property down in crawfish country, Louisiana. 3 of Kurt's children have names that rhyme, and he admits that this can be sometimes confusing. Future parents, do not do this, or the thing where every kid's name starts with the same letter. It's annoying, confusing, and cringy. It's essentially the Jordan Levitt of baby naming. Do you really want that for your kids?
Oh look, Mac's smiling.
Little Nog tried to put gas in it. He thought it was a bus.
I'm invested into everybody here. He's gonna try to hold on, he's gonna try to squeeze. He don't wanna be standing in front of you and beat him up.
There's a lot of positions I'd like to be in my life. The position to own a house, for example, or being smothered to death under the weight of Mackenzie Dern. Sitting under Michael Chandler in this position? Not on the list. Back over to Lee, we learn that he is from Dublin, Ireland, a place whose drab grayness puts Mando's home in Michigan to shame. Dear God, this is what the American Irish romanticize? No wonder the only good thing to come out of Boston is the Dropkick Murphys. The only interesting thing about Lee is that he trains with Conor McGregor. And did I say that they were training together for 5 years? I meant 10 years, making me extra glad that there's not a single Pat Barry joke in this entire episode.
Another Conor no-show at weigh-ins. For me, it's always going to be important because I want my guys to see me there.
Now, if you've been watching these highlight videos, you know that I've been harping on the fact that Conor hasn't shown up to a single weigh-in for any of his team members. That, of course, is the case in this episode as well, but thankfully this story thread will come to a head in the eventual dust-up between the coaches after the fight concludes. More on that in a bit. Now it's fight time, and as I mentioned at the start of this video, knowing the bout's conclusion actually added to my enjoyment of watching the fight, as Lee was kicking some serious ass. He was so dominant in the first and most of the second rounds that I was wondering what the hell could possibly go wrong. Well, what went wrong was that Kurt Hollabaugh summoned some ancient demon within him, securing a guillotine and somehow getting a come-from-behind victory with around 90 seconds left on the clock. Really entertaining plot twist even with the spoilers, another win for Team Chandler, and a loss that would push Connor over the edge.
That one definitely stung for Team McGregor.
Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite moment of season 31 thus far. Connor storms the cage, starts stomping around, gets up in Michael Chandler's grill, and Houston, we have face mush!
Oh, take your little take your mother, wait.
Epic. But nowhere near as epic as Dana rushing to the cage, proving that Prancer size really works.
Out of my way.
Dano.
Virtually identical. After a moment about as explosive as a 4th of July sparkler, Chandler goes over to McGregor's team and says the truest shit of all time.
I'm sorry you guys are on that fucking team. I would have been there for you.
And Connor says whatever the fuck this is.
They were trying to filter this thing about the weigh-ins, right? Chandler's trying to pick at that like I wasn't being involved. I'm setting it up. It's me who set it up, first of all. It's not like I just left them to their own devices.
What?
This is doing nothing but motivating each of us for annihilating each other.
You're right, Mike. Connor got real fired up after that incident. So fired up, he sent a voice memo.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna fight right now. We're gonna fight right now. Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna fight right now.
So that's about it. That puts a bow on episode 6. If you like these highlight videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video if the body weight of Mackenzie Dern doesn't smother me to death in the meantime. God, I hope I don't see you in the next video.
I'm calling it the exact placement method. That's what I'm calling it. Because it's more brain work than body work.
By the way, here's another position that I never, ever, ever want to be in.